Good morning, boys and girls of the internet. Today is Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. Vlog number 162. And so E3 is in full swing right now. All the major press conferences are over with. And last night at work, it was kind of a slow night, so I spent most of the night watching press conferences and new trailers for games and stuff. So, exciting time for gamers. Granted, I don't know if I can call myself a gamer anymore since I don't have much time for games, but I still enjoy the hobby, and there are some games that I am looking forward to getting. Now, am I looking forward to playing them? I would like to play them. But anyway, whether I play it or not, that will come in due time once they are out. I mentioned, of course, yesterday things like Kingdom Hearts 3 that was announced release date, which is January 29th. What I didn't see until last night was they're coming out with like a couple of special editions, which I'm not surprised at all that they're coming out with special editions. One of which has like all the games, including 3, and like 3 statues, one of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. And like something else that comes in the box, I forget, but it's like $229. You can only get it from the Square Enix website. So that's pretty neat. What else is there? They're also coming out with a specialty PS4 Pro that's themed around Kingdom Hearts 3. It looks actually pretty neat. I actually like the design of it. Much better than the shitty God of War one that they came out with. The God of War PS4 that came out with. Did I say PS3 before? PS4 I meant. The God of War PS4 was god awful. Excuse the pun. But some other announcements that are some games that I was kind of expecting, and the trailers of they had on there some gameplay trailers for some of them. I mentioned the game yesterday. It was a very like a samurai type game made by the same people who did infamous Sucker Punch. It's called Ghosts of Tsushima. Probably got that a little bit wrong, but that's about right of what the title is. And man, does that game look freaking good! Like before, when they showed it, like the first time they ever showed it was like last fall sometime, and they only showed like a cutscene type of thing. It wasn't like a gameplay. They showed gameplay from it, and wow, that game looks beautiful. That game, like, the vibrancy of the environments of, they have these like, it's definitely in like Japan. It's like set in like the 13th century or something like that, where the Mongols are invading this island of Japan. And there's like the samurai guy who's like a badass samurai. You can see like all the natural environments. You see his Japanese pagodas, mists in the background. It's obviously very like stormy. The freaking leaves are blowing. Everything's blowing around. There's like the red maple leaf trees. They have literally thousands and thousands of red maple leaf trees, like leaves hanging on the ground. You walk through them, and it leaves like a path through where you walked. And the game is brutal as hell. It's. I mean, when you could obviously tell that they're very much inspired by old samurai movies. By the way, like it's kind of when the samurais like face off against each other and stuff. It feels like a Kurosawa film, like Seven Samurai type thing. But it's of course a lot more violent. Guy freaking cuts a dude's arm off in one part and stabs a guy like right in like the top of the neck right here, where the shoulder meets the neck, and it's pretty bad. It's bloody as hell, but it looks freaking badass. I cannot wait for that game. Next, of course, Hideo Kojima's game, Death Stranding. That game. They showed a little bit of what appears to be gameplay, and I don't think, unless you get that game in your hands, you're not going to know what the fuck it's about. even then, you're probably gonna have a hard ass time because every time they, put up, new footage of the game in any context, it doesn't answer any questions. It only makes you ask more questions. It's like, what the heck is going on in this game? It's insane, but it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And it looks very intriguing. I want to know more. If anything else, that's what Kojima is a master at. The master of wanting you to know more about whatever he's doing, and it's crazy. A couple other games that they kind of show some stuff of. Apparently, that game that they've been that PlayStation touting ever since the release of PS4, Dreams by Media Molecule. It's kind of like a they did Little Big Planet, and this is like that, but you can create literally anything you want. You can create in Dreams, and that's been coming for a long, long time. And finally, it's like at a place where like okay, yeah, this year we're gonna have a beta for it. It's at that place now. It's like, wow, finally. What else did they show? Spider-Man. They showed some more gameplay of that. They showed kind of like a boss encounter type of thing where he's literally fighting, chasing down Shocker and there's other well-known bad guys there. There's Rhino, there's Vulture. Who else was there? Scorpion. Scorpion was there, and one other that they kind of hinted at but they didn't show. I'm kind of suspecting it's probably like Hobgoblin or something, or Doc Ock. But that game looks beautiful. They showed like the little bits of like the open world gameplay, how you can like swing around the city and like do whatever. That game looks really good. And those are all at the Sony show. And for like third-party games, there was a lot of good ones there. There wasn't too many that I was kind of, super psyched about. Of course, they showed a teaser for a new Halo game. I'm not a big Halo fan, but if the game looks anything like what the trailer showed, what the engine's capable of, they have like a new game engine. It's going to be a beautiful looking game. So no doubt about that. Announced a new Gears of War game. That's given. Surprisingly, I'm assuming it, was because it was at the EA conference. The presence of like Call of Duty was kind of like low key. It didn't really, there was no big announcement, at either Microsoft or Sony's conference, which is good because come on, getting sick of Call of Duty. It's gonna be a fucking battle royale game this time around. Anyway, now. There was a new Tomb Raider that they showed some footage of. These last few Tomb Raider games have been really, really excellent. So I have no doubt this new one's going to be good. A lot of people were kind of disappointed in Square Enix that, they didn't really focus on stuff that they were hoping to focus on. Yeah, they showed a shit ton of Kingdom Hearts. That was a big thing for them this year. But people were expecting more of the Final Fantasy VII remake, and they didn't show a single bit of that. Not one thing. It was weird. And they had their own press conference. Square had their own press conference. It was like a half hour long, and they showed like 3 things or something like that. It was very lackluster. Bethesda, they showed a lot of good stuff. Of course, they showed Fallout 76. They kind of teased at a new Elder Scrolls game. And they also teased at this game, I forget the name of it, that it was... People were describing it as Elder Scrolls in space. That might be interesting. I might be interested in something like that. And of course, in great, Bethesda tradition, they announced another port of Skyrim to another platform. Now, this is obviously a joke with them now, because they made that joke that I showed yesterday with the little Tamagotchi. They said, we're porting Skyrim to the Amazon Echo. And they weren't joking. They actually did it. I'm gonna go home now and try it out. I have an Echo. And they had a little video. It had the hell's the guy name? He's like from the TMP or something. I forget his name. He kind of did like a skit type of thing and like a commercial type of thing where he's talking to Amazon, the Echo. He's like, Alexa, Fostora. Just so stupid. But it's fun. Eat a wheel of cheese. Eat all the wheels of cheese. Yeah, that's fun stuff. I know there's a couple other games I'm kind of glossing over, but the big one, and I'm sure there's a couple other big ones I'm kind of missing too, but I'm kind of winging this. I didn't really sit down and really think about it. If I think about more, I'll mention it as they come up. But of course, my big thing that blew me away, which I had no doubt it was going to blow me away, when they actually showed gameplay trailer of The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, I knew this for many years, that Naughty Dog, they got fucking wizards there. I don't know what the hell they're tapping into, what, mystical arts that they're doing to get everything looking so goddamn beautiful and so gritty realistic and so just amazing that just everything, the interactions, the facial animation. Now, I knew for a long time that Naughty Dog, they've been really good with facial animation. That's without a doubt. But in this one, they really kind of wanted to maybe put it in your, throw it in your face, like, hey, look how good our facial animation is. Because one thing that is hard with doing faces and especially real-time, rendered characters with polygons and whatnot, is when two faces interact with each other. For example, people kiss each other. In most video games, it's very static. One article put it, it's like getting, when video game characters kiss, it's like, playing in two mailboxes together. It's like clang, clang. Like, that's kind of funny. It's pretty much true. But in this one, all their facial, because a face is a very pliable thing. I need to get some gas on. But in this, they had the main character Ellie kiss, I'm assuming her girlfriend. By the way, Ellie she's obviously, lesbian, so that probably is going to trigger a lot of people, but let's see them say something about this. I mean, it's a video game. Gotta have something, can't all be heterosexual relationships and everything. It doesn't bother me at all. Anyways, I'm getting gas now. I'll finish up this statement before I lose my train of thought. But they were they had the characters kiss, and their lips were moving and pressing in on each other, and even when one face bumped up against another, it moved the nose, because that's what happens when you kiss. I don't have much experience here, but I know that's what happens. and it was so much more realistic than, I'm not saying it was photorealistic or that it was absolutely perfect, but it was as perfect as you can expect from a video game. But, it was downright brilliant. I mean, it was just, they're wizards at their craft. And it showed the game, the actual, gameplay footage and, the level of detail in the games. We know this from, the last of Us game, that they always put so much tremendous detail in the game. It makes everything look very lived in, very gritty, so much debris everywhere for a world that's kind of crumbling. And this one's no different. And they also put a lot more unique interactions with, the items they're using, weapons, characters you're fighting against, and also the AI in the game seemed very organic, almost like super scripted, but it seemed very organic. I'm assuming that if the player in that area, they played it in a different way, it would have been just like, what you expect, something to happen differently, but in a more natural way. Check out the trailer yourself. It was freaking amazing. But anyway, that's definitely one of my highlights of the show so far, of E3. E3's gonna be on all week. Usually they don't really put surprises for the rest of the week. Again, that's that. Last of Us 2, hands down, my top E3 game for this year. Followed closely by Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man. Kingdom Hearts I'm definitely gonna get. And there's a few others that I was looking at. Like I said, that I can't remember all the games that I was excited for, but most of them I'm excited for. The ones I already mentioned. One thing that Sony did their conference a little differently. Is a little more like it was going to show our games, and all the third-party stuff we're not going to really mention too much. They mentioned a few. The other thing they didn't talk about. Usually they talk about things about. They come out and go, "Oh, we're having a really good sale for this year," or our system's been doing really good, or they come out and announce like a price drop for their system or something, or announce like, hey, here's a new color of a controller. They didn't do any of that. They just showed games, which is good, because that's what E3 is about. It's about showing games. But I was expecting kind of like maybe, we're going to have a price drop for the system or something. But I was also expecting, not really expecting, I'm just hoping for it, because it baffles me that it doesn't exist. The PS4 Pro exists. It's a system that can do 4K gaming in a kind of an upscale type of way, but it can also do 4K output from streaming sites like Netflix and Hulu and YouTube, I'm assuming, as well, and whatever other streaming sites that can support 4K. However, the system itself does not have a 4K Blu-ray player. It just has a regular Blu-ray player. Now this kind of confuses me, because Sony, since forever of their video game systems, has been adopting whatever the current and latest technology is in terms of optical drives, or their storage mediums. And PS1 for me was my very first CD player. I didn't have a CD player before I got a PS1. My PS2 was my very first DVD player. And that was like that for a lot of people. Millions of people, their first and only DVD player in their homes was a PS2. When PS3 came out, there was also a brand new format called Blu-ray. And it was a big gamble for them to put Blu-ray in there, because it was a competing format called HD DVD. Now, not only because of the fact that PlayStation had a Blu-ray player in their system, and despite the high price point of the PS3 of was it $600 at the time? At the time, it was the cheapest Blu-ray player you can buy. Blu-ray players at the time were like $1,000. No joke. So that did really well for the Blu-ray format itself. And with the help of the PS3, Blu-ray won out over HD DVD. There were probably other factors, but PS3 having it was a big factor. Xbox 360, however, kept DVDs, and that kind of hurt them in the long run. Now, when PS4 came out, they still had a Blu-ray player, which is okay. That's the format of the time. Keep a Blu-ray player. Xbox, they got a Blu-ray player finally for the Xbox One. But here we are. Fast forward a couple of years, and Now we have two systems that decided to, let's do a mid-cycle refresh of our systems, which is not something that they do. You know, most console systems, when they refresh a system, they just like shrink it. That's about it. But this time they decided to upgrade the systems, which it worked out in, you know, only because of new television technologies. You know, people wanted something that had a little more horsepower. Because a lot of people argue that the PS4 and the Xbox One were underpowered at the time of release. I don't really think so, because like everything, like every console cycle, the games that come out when the system first released, yeah, they may look really good, but you know, maybe compare a game like, you know, some of the early PS4 games. I'll take Infamous, which was a damn right beautiful game at the time. And compared to God of War, which just came out, God of War blows it away in terms of visuals. And people were saying, oh, back when, you know, the first batch of games for PS4 came out, the system was tapped out. You weren't able to get anything more on the system. Bullshit. Bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. Because you can always tap more out of the system, you know, up until you get a diminishing returns, pretty much. You have games now that are way better looking than anything in the first, you know, 1 or 2 years of the system. But aside from that point, we had a mid-cycle refresh of our systems, mainly because the rise of 4K formats, TVs, movies coming out in 4K, internet streaming services streaming in 4K. So it's a kind of an upcoming thing, and it happened a lot faster than, you know, when high def TVs came out. When high def TVs came out, it was kind of a slow trickle. You know, it was mainly like, you know, you can get a 720p, 1080p, 1080i TVs, and it was kind of a slow trickle, and people were slow to adopt them. When 4K came out, people were getting pretty quick to adopt them, and right now, 4K TVs are dirt cheap. Not dirt cheap, but they're inexpensive. I've spoken about that. I'm gonna get one soon. So it's wise right now to have something that can support 4K. So that's why they're like, you know what? Let's come out with mid-cycle systems that kind of future-proof it for people who are going to get 4K televisions either now or in the near future. Microsoft were smart. They're like, okay, we're gonna shrink our Xbox One, put an S on it, and we're gonna be able to play 4K streaming websites. The games aren't gonna be 4K. None of the games are gonna be 4K, but because it's not gonna be powerful enough to do it. But we're gonna have the Blu-ray player in it be a Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Okay. Sony did not do that. I did read a rumor somewhere that the reason why they didn't do that is because at the time they didn't have their own standalone 4K Blu-ray player out yet, so they wanted to use their own, you know, 4K Blu-ray player. If they wanted to use it, it just wasn't done. It wasn't ready yet. Maybe that's stupid. What the hell? If Microsoft can do it, why can't Sony? What was a holdup? So all that being said, I'm sorry I'm babbling about it. I was hoping that, you know, it was, you know, either last year or even this year, they're like, okay, here's like a price drop for the PS4 Pro, and by the way, from here on out, when you get a PS4 Pro, it's gonna have a 4K Blu-ray player inside of it. No additional cost or something. You know, just throw us a bone, Sony. So, since they didn't do that, and since I do own some 4K Blu-rays, no 4K Blu-ray TV, no 4K TV or 4K Blu-ray player, I'm either going to have to get a Blu-ray player or I'm going to have to get a Xbox One S. I don't need a Scorpio. I don't need a Xbox One X. That'd just be overkill. But S is you get one for $199. There's about not too much more than a regular 4K Blu-ray player is. So decisions. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. Sony dropping the ball on that point. You can wait for PS5 to put in a 4K player in it? I guess so. So that's my thoughts on this whole E3 thing. Sorry, I rambled a bit more than I thought. And I rambled a bit about the state of the consoles. But that'll be it for today. Let me know what y'all think about the games that are coming out. What games are you excited for? What trailers blew you away? What things you didn't expect so far? Yeah, comment, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. I'm gonna start saying that from now on. I don't know. So I'll talk to y'all later. Everybody have a good day. Love you.